I'm JT MOLLNER, and this is Scream Dreams.
You're right. I know.
We're on the same
our
page.
minds
are
aligned. So I know what you're going to ask.
If we spend a lot of
Go
time
ahead.
together.
We have to ask this question, even though we're agreeing.
Okay, so
what's happening right now? Do you know what's happening?
Most fun, chaotic interviews we've ever done. Anyway.
Hello, friends.
I'm James A. Janisse.
I'm Catherine Corcoran.
And I'm Barbara Crampton.
Welcome.
Welcome to another episode of Scream Dreams.
Scream Dreams.
Our guest today is a writer-director whose new movie Strange Darling just came out.
I fucking love this movie.
Strange Darling is amazing. Seriously, you have to check it out. And it's in theaters right now.
I really love this movie. It's thrilling, great performances.
Please welcome
our very special guest.
Our very special guest.
Our very special guest, JT MOLLNER.
JT MOLLNER.
JT MOLLNER.
All right, we have to hurry up and talk about this film because JT MOLLNER is really busy today and he's got a lot of interviews. And the New York Times came out today and gave him a stellar review. Variety, IndieWire, I read, was an amazing review. This movie is one of my favorite movies of the year, horror movie.
What movie, Barbara? We haven't said it yet.
Yes, what's
Strange Darling.
Oh, there we go.
Nice
And
delivery.
JT MOLLNER, we just have to get right into it and talk about it because you're very busy. So let's see. What do we want to ask him?
Well, we should definitely keep it spoiler free for
Yes.
people who haven't seen it yet.
You have to go in blind, and that's what everyone was saying, and it lives up to it for sure. The reveal was not one that I saw coming. I don't think it's one that anybody saw coming.
No, and I also, so I've seen the movie twice, and the second time I saw it was at the premiere, and you gave a beautiful intro, let me just say. It was gorgeous with all your cast and everything.
Super nervous about that, yeah.
And then you were?
I was super nervous about screwing something up. And
couldn't tell.
Then I forgot to mention my amazing sound designer, John Warren, who works right down the street, and Andy Hay, and then there was somebody else I forgot. I was just, I was bathing in a sea of regret for 24 hours after that, but everybody said it was
It was at the Directors Guild.
Oh,
but let me say
Yes.
something about this because you said, you're saying we have to be spoiler free. When you introed the movie, you said, listen, give us 20 minutes and don't walk out. And I was like, what is he talking about? Does he think the first 20 minutes aren't good? And then I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. But I had forgotten that I had that experience watching it because I watched it at Giovanni's house, who was Giovanni Ribisi is the DP. And you said the same thing to us. You said, the first 20 minutes, I don't know. But what happens in the first 20 minutes is you think it's one movie and it's about something, and then it's about something else. And it could be slightly offensive while you're watching it. Slightly offensive. And I remember sitting there going, oh my God, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, you didn't know me either.
I didn't really
You're like,
know,
who is this guy? Like, I don't know what you're doing here.
And it made me very nervous.
Yeah.
Right?
I do think the whole movie is uncomfortable and makes you nervous in a
Yeah.
great way. I think that there were a lot of discussions that I had with my wife about just the thematic elements going on throughout the movie. And I really enjoyed the take on it, especially thinking it's one thing going into it and then having it be something else. And I think it works so well because of both the nonlinear storytelling structure that you have. The movie started and we were like, wait, did that say chapter 3? Did we get a faulty screener? Yeah. And then also the performances are
Unbelievable.
you have the best two lead
Ridiculous.
actors that you could find. And how'd you wind up with Kyle Gallner and Willa Fitzgerald?
Nancy Nair, our casting director, she was on their radar. Christy Hall, who's an agent at Paradigm, who I'm good friends with and really, really like. I called her and I said, Miramax is going to give me the freedom to cast the right people as long as they're, good working actors who are known. But I didn't need to, cast somebody who'd done this before or somebody who was like, I could cast people who were on the rise. And so we were looking at all different variations of people. We had, on our wish list, we had people in their 20s and people in their 50s, and it didn't matter to me. It just had to be somebody with a very unique charisma. And we wanted to cast the lady first and then cast the demon against her, right? So
Kyle Gallner as the demon.
Kyle Gallner as the demon. So we cast, I called Christy Hall and she started talking about Willa Fitzgerald and I don't watch a lot of TV, so I hadn't seen Reacher. So I started watching the episodes of Reacher, and I'd seen her in The Goldfinch, which I really, really loved, a movie with Nicole Kidman. and she had a small role, but one that was totally memorable, but very different than this character. So so my editor, Chris Bell, was editing another movie that still hasn't come out, that just so happened to have Willa Fitzgerald in it. And he called me randomly and said, I'm watching this movie and this woman is lighting the screen on fire. And I've never heard it. Like both of us we weren't really familiar with her. And she's massively popular because of Reacher. So like Roy Lee, our producer, loved her, and my parents loved her. Like so many people we knew loved her, and I wasn't that familiar. So I ran over to my editor's house, watched her in these scenes in this movie that is yet to be released, and she was so good. And I saw the whole picture, and so I was just like, if we have a meeting and it goes well, I want to cast her, because I don't like auditioning people who have a good body of work. I think it's actually rude. I don't think I'm like, if you have a good body of work, I just want to see it, and then I want to meet with you. And so I saw it. I knew she was right, and then we had a meeting. And what I was looking for in these meetings, because I met with I don't know, maybe 50, 60. I mean, I met with so many people because we wanted to cast it right. We just kept having meetings. And she was the first person that I met with who didn't talk about the flaws in this character, only talked about what she loved in the character, and connected deeply with her. And I love the character so much that I wanted to make sure whoever was playing the character didn't like disrespect her and found common ground. And so she really just, all she talked about was how the affection she had for this character, and so she was in. We cast her, and then Christy Hall sent me. She convinced me to watch Dinner in America, which for some reason I'd missed. I think Dinner in America maybe played at Sundance the same year my first film did, and I just missed it. And so I watched it and knew instantly that Kyle was like the guy. And then we had a meeting, and Kyle was just, I felt like we'd been friends for 20 years. He was just like a, you know.
He's so charismatic, and he's, you know, on the socials, he's quite active and very open and charming. And
he's amazing.
Had you seen Smile as well? Because he was in Smile, or was this before Smile came out?
No, it was right around the time it came out, and so I did see Smile, and I liked it. It was definitely an effective horror film, but the performance in Dinner in America is what just was so unique.
Did you see The Passenger?
Yeah,
I loved him in The
Passenger.
Passenger. The Passenger I didn't see.
Really?
I don't think The Passenger came out till after we finished shooting.
Oh, okay.
But I saw that and I was just like, and
he really
so,
scared me in that. Yeah.
He's so good.
And
he's
then
so good
talking to him though, he is such a down to earth, real guy. No bullshit like Hollywood.
No,
actor
we can say
stuff.
bullshit. That's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Well, I'm curious, like when you're meeting with these actors, because your process is to sit down. I always say that. I feel like now in the world of taping, we don't get our work isn't as strong because we have this we don't have the connection that you get in the room when you're meeting people and getting an idea, because 70% of it is just realizing if you can sit with people for 12 hours and not get sick of them day in and day out.
Yeah.
You know, what do you look for when you meet with your actors? Like, is it just, connecting with the character? Like, what were some of the
personal vibes of actors?
Yeah.
It's really important because I like to work with my friends, and if they're not already my friends, I want to know they'll become one. Like, it's not, when I'm working with actors, I become very close with them. It's a super intimate relationship, and so the actors I worked with on my first, Frances Fisher was at our premiere because she's such a dear friend now. She's like a family member, and Chad Michael Murray is like that with me now. He was the star of my first movie, and Madison Beatty, who I continue to work with, and Stephen Michael. So I want these people to. Stephen Michael Quezada was in this movie as well, and he was in the first film. So I want to know that we're gonna get along, and you can't always guarantee that will happen, but it's nice to I'm looking for a friend as well as a great performer, and hoping that we're going to get along on set. And so with these two, it became, Willa lives in New York, but she was just in town, and we spent the last few nights having dinners together, me and her and her boyfriend, because we're all so close now. So it's I've been really lucky. I've only made 2 features, but I've been really lucky in that both of those experiences we became a tightly bonded or tightly bound group.
So your beginnings were in music videos and commercials and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I started a long time ago, crazily. I mean, it's I read a review yesterday, which I never used to read them, and now my agent's like, read some of these, you deserve it. Like, so I've read a few.
Because they're all so
And
good.
It's very nice. I don't even agree with some of them, but because
it
I'm like,
had
this is
100%
weird.
on Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes.
it was
Yeah.
cool, which I don't trust. So it was nice when we first got a little bit of it, but it was. I'm very, very grateful. I never feel like anything I've done before anybody's really understood, and I feel like everybody's getting this. And the great thing is, people who know me personally and know where I'm coming from aren't worried about or aren't misinterpreting it, but I wasn't sure if people who didn't know me, and like Francis Lawrence, when he watched the movie, had a similar experience to what you had, where he was watching the movie, and I invited him in to see it, and he was like, for the first 20 minutes, I was kind of like, what's JT going to do to us here, and do I have to sit through this for like? Is it gonna,
Yeah.
And so
It's like, is this Wolf Creek?
yeah,
Or what is this? Like,
So I don't know what I was just going to say about a review, or what was your question?
I asked you where, the beginnings of where you had come from.
Yeah, so I was reading this review the other day that said, newcomer JT MOLLNER,
Yeah.
he's done very little, and I was like, I've been
Oh my
I've been
God.
doing it, but it makes sense. Like
It only
a lot of people
takes
didn't know.
20 years to become an overnight sensation.
It's been, yeah, I've been doing it. I mean, I think I made my first short film in like 2008, and I spent a lot of years doing those before, and getting hired to do a couple commercials, and I was able to make a little bit of a living, and then I finally made my first feature, and after my first feature, I got an agent and was able to start working. Like, that's when I quit bartending and was actually working,
you.
writing for people and making a living, but still struggling, because I wanted to make sure that every movie I made, I didn't want to take a job making a movie. I wanted to direct movies that I really believed in. And my first film, they loved it at Sundance. When it came out, like 2 people saw it, and not everybody loved it, but I loved it.
And what was the name
that's
of that
all that
one?
mattered. Huh?
what was the name of
It's called Outlaws and Angels.
Outlaws and Angels. Okay.
And so I'm very proud of the film, but it was a movie that was very divisive, and it was always kind of supposed to be. And so I did that, and waited, kept trying to set things up that I really believed in, and the pandemic hit. And
I know. It's hard for all. Well, how did this one get set up with? Was it with Roy's company?
Yeah, it happened so quickly. This was that's the weirdest thing, because like I said, there were always issues with other films I was getting. I had Robert Forster was supposed to star in a movie with Clifton Collins Jr. and Heather Graham, and we were going to make that movie down in Mexico, and then we lost Robert.
Right.
And he was a dear friend, and it was really sad. And then we were kind of getting that movie back off the ground, and we were going to recast it, and then the pandemic hit. And then I came up with this idea, at the end of the pandemic, and I knew I had to write it. And so I wrote it fast, sent it to Giovanni Ribisi, who we just kind of give each other notes on scripts. He's a friend, and I met him, and we bonded over a love for cinema. And so I sent it to him, and he called me, and he's like, no, I don't just want to give you notes on this. Like, I want to do it. Like, I want to make it. Like, can I produce it? We'll scrape up the money. I'll use my infrastructure, because he has camera equipment and all this. He's like, we'll do it. I want to shoot this. Can I please shoot this movie? And I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. So we were just going to go out and make it. Like, for, I don't know, $500,000, whatever we could get. We were just going to go make it.
together.
And
You could have done that with this movie.
yeah, it kind of was written for that. And then I sent it to my agent, Charlie Ferraro, at UTA.
Yeah, Charlie,
and
yeah.
you know Charlie, right?
Yeah, I do,
Yeah.
because I know other people that he reps.
Yeah, he's a fan. We've talked about you, but I mean, we're all fans, Barbara. So,
Thanks.
but no, I gave it to Charlie, and Charlie called me, and he's like, "You already gave this to somebody before showing it to me?" He's like, Giovanni, and I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Everything I send to you, you're not sure how we can get." Every time I send him a script, he's usually like, "This is great, but like."
How are we going to make
You're
it?
not Lars von
Yeah.
Trier. Like, how are we gonna, and he goes, no, this is like, you wrote a pop song. I really think this has commercial elements. And I was like, cool.
I don't
And he
feel
goes,
like
I
it's
can-
a pop song at all.
No, I mean,
Well-
he just felt like I accidentally
It's something
found
everybody can
something
relate to.
connected.
Yeah.
I think, it's very male and female. There's something inherently about what we expect
Yes.
to see between
Perspectives,
men and
yes.
women, and
Yes.
a particular thing that happens. And that's, I don't want to say any more than
No.
that, but
Yeah.
I could see how this is, wide reaching, that everybody can relate to the movie. I can see that.
Well,
So I think he was
you.
right.
But I
Yeah,
also-
he also there was a thriller element. I was writing some dramas.
Yeah.
It wasn't the time to go and make a drama quite yet. I had this movie that was sort of like my tender mercies that I wanted to make, that I was really focused on making, called 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses, and it's just it wasn't the time. But this, he was happy because I was inspired to write it, and I felt like I didn't feel like I was selling out or writing something so people would like it. It came organically. I was really excited about writing it, and he's like, "Oh, this is a genre film. This is going to be a fun, like, even though it's intense, it's a fun ride." And so he said, "I really want to send this to Roy Lee," and I said, "Roy Lee is like the biggest." Horror producer, or not even just horror. He's produced The Departed and the Lego Movie.
I know.
And so I said, well, that's great, but I've had experience with big producers signing on to projects, and even though I'm grateful when they do, sometimes you just still sit around for a year because they have a million projects. And so Roy Lee read the script and wanted it, or at least that's what my agent told me, and he said, I think he maybe wanted to option it or buy it and have somebody else direct it. And my agent said, "Hey, we should maybe give this to Roy Lee." And I said, "Listen, if people want this, like, I need to I need to cuff myself to this movie, because I need to direct a movie
For sure.
and I know I'm going to be the best director for this." And so he called Roy, and Roy was like, "Well, we got to watch his movie."
Yeah.
And so we sent him Outlaws and Angels, and when we send Outlaws and Angels to, it's always a crapshoot. It's like 50-50. Some actors are like, "Can't wait to work with you," and other actors never call back again. So it's a very divisive movie, and it was meant to be. And so we sent it to them, and we're sort of waiting. And a couple days later, he said Steven Schneider, his partner at Spooky Pictures, they both watched it and they really liked it a lot, and they want to meet with you. So I met with Steven Schneider, and he said, "This movie is amazing. I can't believe I never saw this movie. We think it was mismarketed. We can't believe we didn't hear about it." And so they really got it, and they got me. And he said, "You don't even have to pitch yourself as a director. Like, we know you're the right guy for this now. We want to do this
Hell
with
yeah.
you."
I mean, that's
And so it was
amazing.
it was like a dream come
Like,
true.
everything's kind of been laid out for you in a surprising way.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't expect all these things were going to happen. Giovanni read the script and loved it. And then your agent was like, "I love the script." And then the guys, at Spooky Pictures
Yeah,
and Roy
amazing.
Lee were like, "We love it." So, wow, what kind of red carpet is that? I mean,
It's just crazy. It's crazy. And you've had you've been in things that have connected with audiences and that we have big success with. And I wasn't sure, because like I said, it's not in my DNA to write something because I think it's hot right now or something. I have to I come up with ideas and I get inspired by them and I write them. So the fact that people are I didn't realize how nice it would be to have audiences and critics understand what we were trying to do, and I hope it's coming out in theaters this weekend, and
we're taping this, I mean,
Yeah.
it's this episode will come out after the movie's out, but as we're taping this, the movie is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, how
So anyway, it's felt really good, and I'm
Yes.
eternally grateful. And I'm just
Congratulations.
No, it
I
really
feel
is.
my heart is full right now, and I know it's fleeting, and this kind of stuff, comes and goes, and so
Gotta enjoy while it's
Yeah,
happening.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's been really
I
nice.
have to say it was so motivating for me. I think for a lot of people, we get in this, like, especially people who work a lot in genre, sometimes we get in these like funks where everything just feels a lot of the same. And you feel kind of stuck and like you're on this like weird hamster wheel, and it becomes really disillusioned. And I watched your film and I was just like, thank God.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I got back from like a
Right.
4-hour dinner last night and put it on, and I was exhausted. I was like, dude, I'm so worried I'm gonna fall asleep during this
Yeah.
movie. And then like 25 minutes in, I was like, I'm not tired anymore. I'm
That
like,
was your
Yeah.
first time last night?
yeah, I just watched it for the first time like less than 12 hours ago.
It's
and was
riveting,
locked in.
right?
Yeah,
It's just, like,
riveting is a
riveting.
great word.
Yeah,
too.
and
Thank you.
and
Thank you
it
so
makes
much.
sense that you have this background in music videos and things, because it feels like musical. It has these like weird arcs and pacings, like this kind of like orchestral thing
Yeah.
this journey that I wasn't expecting to go
Yeah,
on.
there's like a nice
Right.
texture to it, and like not even visually, although there are like I really love all the use use of color washing out the
Yes.
frame entirely throughout various times.
Yeah.
But just
And shot on film. And
the 35 millimeter.
Oh my God, I totally
beautiful.
forgot about that. It's just like it adds so much to it, and I mean it when I say I was feeling so disillusioned with the business for the last couple weeks, and hearing you talk about this, and hearing you just be on, and I think for everybody listening and or watching at home, you know, the idea that you can just make the work that you want to make and tell the stories that you want to tell, and there will be a place for them, and there will be an audience for them, and they will resonate. You don't have to fit into whatever bubble people are telling you that you have to fit in.
That's important to me.
Truly,
It's really
very
important to me.
encouraging.
I'd rather work at a bank than do it any other way because it feels like that. I mean, and I would not like to work at a bank, so that's why.
no offense to bank tellers.
No, I love banks. Banks are great. Bank tellers
They're
are great.
full of money.
No, I just I
That's what banks are. She's got a point.
I like some of that. No, it's just one of those things where it's like the reason I do this is because of that fulfillment that it gives me, and I set out to do to do that, to tell stories that I'm inspired by, and reading the room and trying to like do something that's not the way it works for me, and I can't work. I cannot be hired to write something. Working on like The Long Walk for adapting the Stephen King thing, and that's a job, but it's like a dream job, and it's amazing if somebody tells me adapt this or do this, I can do it. But as far as my own spec scripts that I'm going to direct, they have to come from the heart, you know, and this one did, and so it's just been a ride. It's been amazing.
And I'm curious, was it always conceived of as a nonlinear thing?
Yeah.
Is that your initial
that's
idea?
how it came. That's how it came.
I mean, I think it's crucial to
came in
what
Yeah.
the movie
But
is.
then
100%.
interestingly enough, you had told me that when you put the movie together in this nonlinear fashion, some people that were in charge said, well, maybe you should tell it linear. We don't know. Maybe you should go back to tell it. And you guys kind of freaked out over that.
Oh,
for
God.
a
I
month
freaked
or
out
so.
over it. Yeah. They it was. Listen, everybody came around. Thank God.
They came around, but they have
People
different
understood.
ideas. Like
It would
whenever
completely
I don't think
ruin,
yeah.
like, not ruin the movie, but part of
I had a feeling that would happen.
I don't think that's spoiling anything.
No, yes.
I had a feeling. The thing is, if it's not told, the movie came to me over the course of a few months of going on hikes, going on walks, standing in the shower, whatever. I would bits of it kept coming to me, and it started at this point where the final girl is running through the woods in distress, and I was like, what's a different angle? Like, what more is there to her, and can we go back and show more of her from a different angle than we've seen in these other great horror films? And once it unfolded, I didn't even know at first, and that's how the process is for me. For a few months, I won't be typing. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
And usually months. And that's the hardest part of the writing process for me. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have an idea and I'll put it on the notepad. And then finally I get the ending. And the ending matters to me because I'm like from the school of Flannery O'Connor and Rod Serling, and I like hard-hitting, apocalyptic, ironic endings, right? So I always need to know what the ending's going to be before I start. And so once this whole idea came to me in the same order you see it.
Wow.
And once I got to the
That's
end,
incredible.
I was like, oh, I got it. I remember running into my house. I'd been on a trail in the Santa Monica Mountains. I remember running into my house and telling my wife, like, I figured this thing out. Tell me what you think, and then I told her, and she was like, oh, that's good. And so I started working on it. I think I wrote it in like 10 days or something, the typing part.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we did draft after
So
draft after
do you
draft.
So then do you outline it, or do you just kind of when you're writing, or do you just kind of come up with these pieces and then put it together?
I used to do very detailed outlines, like when I first started writing, and everything kind of becomes, you realize what you don't need and what you do need, and it's the same thing with the shot listing process now. Like I realize what I don't need and what I do need. But with writing now, it depends on the script. Like with something like The Long Walk, when you're turning a 300-page novel into a script, it's really good to do meticulous planning and outlining so you know what you're going to remove and what you're going to use. But with something like this, really for me, it's about all these scribbled notes for the course of months, and then sitting down for a day and looking at all those things and figuring out what they are, and then I do like a half a page to 1 page, 3 paragraphs, like basically like act 1, midpoint, middle, and last act, and if it's going to be a 3-act feel, but just so I know where I'm beginning, where the middle is, and where I'm going, and then I just start writing. And it's a very, very simple outline, just so I know. I don't do scene breakdowns. I don't say 30 scenes, and this is what I don't do that at all. But I know some people do, and it works for them. It's just not.
Yeah,
what
that's
I
what
do.
David Lynch does. He comes up
Yeah,
with
he said-
70 scenes.
Wow.
I watched that the other
If
day.
you have 70
These
scenes,
scenes.
you have a movie.
You've told me this before, and like he'll put them all out on the floor,
Yeah.
right, and like piece it together.
Right.
And
but
I'm
what-
obsessed with David Lynch.
Yeah.
I know, we all love
We
him.
all have different.
It's all different methods.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have different ways of getting to the same place.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is very instinctual to me. That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
writing process is. But listen, we have to go because you have to talk to Variety and. Oh,
Yes,
well,
well,
okay.
I love you
yes,
guys. I wish
we
you
have
could
to.
stay.
You're right. We have.
should-
I know.
We're on the same
Our
page.
minds
Are aligned.
aligned.
It is
So I
as
know
if
what you're
we-
going to
it is
ask.
as If we spend a lot of
Go
time
ahead.
together.
We have to ask this question, even though we're agreeing.
Okay, so
what's happening right now? Do you know what's happening?
Most fun, chaotic interviews we've ever done. Anyway, we ask
I'm like
everyone. Our
bad
show
at
is
these
called
microphones.
Scream Dreams. It is about the things that terrify us. You have rocked us to our core with your film. You're going to terrify and exhilarate other audiences with Strange Darlings. One thing
I thought it
that
was
we
a
ask,
love story.
Well, it is that too.
It is that too.
Yeah.
One thing that we ask our guests every time is what their nightlight is, and what we mean by
No,
that.
but we didn't ask him what his scares him, Kat.
we don't have time for that.
Real
Okay.
fast. What
What
scares
does
you?
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
Wait, I kind of want to ask what scares you.
Okay.
Spiders and vomiting.
Okay.
Good.
They're the only
to
two
know.
things I can't handle. Yeah.
So
Got it.
Okay.
So
Spiders and vomit.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll do anything not to vomit.
So when you're
I don't
at
even
when
wanna
all
talk
these
about
studios
vomiting.
are bringing you in for
Spiders.
what they want to make with you next, spider things not for you.
You wouldn't do infested.
no.
Yeah.
I might just to face my fear. Sure.
Maybe.
Like, yeah, I might do a spider movie one day. No, but I think like a movie like Arachnophobia,
Yeah.
even though it's, there's there's amazing horror films that have been made, The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, but for some reason, a movie like that, I can't even judge how well it's made. It's just horrific. Like, I don't even know if I've made it
Right.
through that movie. I can't watch movies about
Okay.
spiders. So.
And then
And
go
then-
ahead, Catherine.
The other question we ask, and recently we've gotten good feedback on it. People say it really helps them, so it's important that we ask.
Okay.
Okay. We ask.
It really helps them.
But it was. That's what they said in the comments. The
Yeah.
people of the internet. What is your nightlight? And what we mean by that is, amidst all the terrifying relationships, love stories, whatever it is in your life that is horrible and terrifying and keeps you up at night.
Well,
Terrible
what is,
relationship.
happily
what is-
married, I think.
What
So-
is
Yeah.
I'm talking
Very
through
happy.
the. Oh,
Yeah.
Try not to give anything away about this film.
Okay.
yeah.
What are the things what is the thing that when you wake up from the nightmare, from the bad dream, from the anxiety, what is the thing that keeps you going? The light at the end of the tunnel that lets you know everything's going to be okay.
I mean, it's definitely my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it now. I mean, there's different things throughout your life, but yeah, I mean, it's that just thinking about her, seeing her, like everything is okay, no matter how stressful it is. When
What is her name?
I see my daughter, her name's Velvet.
What is
Yeah,
it?
Her name's
Velvet.
what? Velvet.
Velvet.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Velvet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What a beautiful name.
I know.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, your
And
whole
there's-
energy.
I feel like people with
changed when you
Yeah, I
kids-
talked about her.
Yeah.
I know.
I feel like people with kids get off too easy on that question. Because they
I
just
know.
feel like it's my kid, obviously.
That's what I say too. Is my children.
Yeah.
And I start crying when I talk about them.
I mean, I guess,
I
you
know.
know.
We've got to be honest. All right. What
Yeah.
after
I mean,
your
family. That's all. Those are all obvious.
Okay,
those
after
are all
Velvet.
obvious questions.
For the people that don't
obvious-
have kids,
obvious
what
answers.
can they have from you to hold on to besides a child? What is there anything else?
I mean, I like
Your
books.
B answer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Books.
I like books. I have to read. I have to read every night off real paper
Yes.
before I go
Yeah,
to sleep.
for
And if I
sure.
make
Yeah.
sure I'm doing that, and I crack a book at night, I always end up sleeping well. And
Yeah.
if I don't do that, then I don't sleep well.
I
So
hear ya.
ever since I was, a little kid, I always have a book with me, and
Right.
it's very important.
What
to
are you
me.
reading right now?
I'm actually reading a book. I just finished Blood Meridian for the first time,
Oh,
which is great.
geez,
But
okay.
but now I'm reading a Stephen King book that I've actually been. Somebody asked me if I might be interested in like I'm rereading something.
Oh, so we're not gonna-
yeah, I can't talk about it, but
Ooh.
it's a
Okay.
reread and it's been
hope
really
it's-
great.
The Tommy Knockers. we need
I
a
haven't
good
read
version of the
Tommy
Tommy
Knockers in a long
Knockers,
time.
D.
Okay, this has been a fantastic interview. We have to wrap it up because JT has to go and talk to more people about his fantastic movie, Strange Darling. It's in theaters now.
Yes.
And you must watch this film. You must. I want everybody to go watch it. And then you need to talk to JT on Twitter or talk to us and tell us what you think of it. It's fantastic.
Can I say
Yes.
one thing?
Yeah.
The Z Berg, who does
Yes.
the music for the movie,
Fantastic.
We wanted to do a single artist soundtrack, like in the vein of Magnolia or Harold and Maude or The Graduate, and she was really, like what Julie Cruz is to David Lynch. Like
Are those original
She
songs?
really, those
Yeah,
are they're all
and
original
she
except for
performed them.
Yeah, she performs them
I'm
and
sorry
writes
we
them.
didn't mention that.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
She performs them all, and she did a cover of Love Hurts as one of the songs with Keith Carradine.
Got it,
And then she
okay.
wrote one of the songs for my mom to sing. And so my mom is singing on the album too. It's called To Forget
my
You.
God.
But the others, I think it's 12 songs. Sorry if I got that wrong, Z. But the album, Strange Darling, Z Berg album, is coming out, I think tomorrow. It is going to be out once
so
people
that'll
are
be out
watching
too.
this.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so
The
and it's
music
coming
is
out on vinyl.
haunting and
Yeah.
beautiful.
Will it be on Spotify as well? or
Yeah, it'll
just-
be
okay.
everywhere. Everywhere, Spotify, iTunes, and it's coming out on vinyl too. So
Oh my
There you go.
gosh.
she's gonna. I mean, the album is arguably, better than the movie. So
No,
No, that is not true.
They're equal.
But they are.
Yeah.
But they are fantastic
Yeah,
pieces.
fantastic.
Both.
Yeah.
Thank-
really, really.
Well,
JT,
thank you,
so much.
JT,
Yes,
for
thank
you for
being with
having
us
me.
today. We love your movie. We love you.
Thank you so much. I love all of you too.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
been great to be here. He made it.
Like, go powering through this one with us.
Yeah.
Hey, that was pretty good for a rush. You guys are great.